Okay, so this algorithm challenge stems from Colt Steele's Udemy course, Algorithms and Data Structures. When the problem challenges on there is the following. It says to write a function called SameFrequency, given two positive integers, find out if the two numbers have the same frequency of digits. Your solution must have the following complexities time O of n. And then it gives you examples of what it should return. So here, if we pass in 182 as argument number 1 and 281 as the second argument, it should return true. And the reason for that is because both arguments have the same digits. For instance, this has a 1, this has a 1, this has an 8, this has an 8. First argument has a 2, and the second argument has a 2, so it should return true. The second one is false because the first argument does not have a 1 and the second argument is missing a 3. So if, for instance, if it was 41, it would return true because they both have the same digits. Okay. So one of the first things I want to do is convert num1 and num2, so essentially the arguments that are being passed in, and convert them into an array. So let's declare our variable. Let r1 is equal to num1 to string, and then we're going to use the split method. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for num2. Okay, so let's console log and see how they look. Console.log r1. And it's perfect. So 132 is being split into 1, 3, and 2. And the same thing should be happening for the second array, 2, 2, 1. Perfect. So now we converted our digits into a stringed array. The next thing I want to do is create two empty objects. So we're going to go to const counter1 equals an empty object, and then const counter2 is equal to an empty object. Okay. So one of the first things we want to do is make sure that both arguments that are being passed in have the same number, are the same length. So for instance, like here, it's missing another 2, so it should return false. Before we start doing anything else, I think it would be a good idea to write that if statement now. So we're going to put in if r1.length is not equal to r2.length, then here we're already going to return false. Okay. Now if they are both the same length, we can start applying the actual solution. Start doing more work. So we're going to use a for of loop to iterate over the values of the first array. So let's write that for const value of array 1. Okay. So first let's find out what value is iterating over. Let's clear the console. Value. Let's see, 1, 3, and 2. Okay, perfect. So it's iterating over the first array number 1, which is 1, 3, and 2. Perfect. So let's continue. So we want to set the key value pairs for counter 1. And to do that, we're going to write if counter 1 value. So we're setting the the key to the value of the first number. So the first key is going to be 1 down here. And then we're going to hit equal parentheses. And its value should be counter 1 value, or 0 plus 1. So this took me a little while to wrap my head around. So basically it's saying counter value. So the key, which the first one's going to be 1, is equal to counter 1 value. And since it doesn't exist yet, it's going to set it to 0. And then it's going to add 1. So our frequency is going to be, has a key of 1, and it's also it's there at least once. Okay? And now to kind of clarify what I'm saying, we're going to console.log counter 1 to see what's really happening. So as you can see, we have the object counter 1, and we have 1 one time, 2, the number 2 one time, and the number 3 one time. Okay, so that's working perfectly. Let's do the same for counter 2. So again, we're going to create the for of loop. We're going to go const value of array 2. And this one, we're going to put counter 2, same thing. The value is equal to counter 2 value, or 0 plus 1. Again, this is going to be the key, and this is going to be the value. If it doesn't find the value here, then it's going to set it to 0 and then add 1. So let's find out how that looks. Let's clear the console again. I'm going to go console.log counter. We should have an object, and so the second argument is 221. We have a key of 1, and it's repeated once right here, and then we have the number 2, which is repeated twice right there. Perfect. So that's working. Okay. Next, we want to iterate over the objects to see if the key that is in object counter 1 is present in object that is defined as counter 2. So let's write that. Let's see, okay. Or let key in counter 1. So if key in counter 2 is not found, that's what that exclamation point here does. If it returns, so if it's not found in counter 2, we are going to return false. I missed the parentheses here, and we're going to delete that. Okay. Now, we also have to check if the key is found in counter 2, we have to check if that value is the same in counter 1 as it is in counter 2. So that key and value pair should be the exact same. So to write that, let's clean this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so hit if counter to key. So we're getting the value for whatever key we're passing in now, or yeah, whatever key we're passing in now is not equal to counter 1 key, then we should return false. Okay. And at the very end, if we go through all the iterations and it doesn't stop at any of these 3 if statements, we want it to return true. Comment if you have any questions.